games.
Yes.
Okay, but opening up, we'll start talking about Raiders Bengals. First off, Joe Burrow now is entering a little bit of an overrated discussion, but he's still so damn good. And I think his skill set is going to make that team so good at the playoffs because I think what his biggest asset, what he can bring to the Bengals right now is he's unfazed sitting in the pocket. He saw it at LSU, saw in the beginning of his career behind an awful Bengals line before he got hurt and going into now the playoffs. The man is unfazed by pressure. He's able to sit in the pocket, take hits, take blows, completely straight faced, unlike Kyler Murray, which we'll get into a little bit. He looks like he belongs there and he was built for the moment.
Yeah, it looks really good.
What are you fixing your hair for the ladies?
Yeah, my bed hair. It's a little rough.
It's okay. No one's looking.
I know. Oh, thank goodness we don't do this YouTube thing a whole lot. Maybe down the road. Maybe down the road.
Honestly, good thing that I have all day today to edit some clips.
Sure, go ahead.
Evan's like, But anyways.
Yeah.
And then I want to give major props to Derek Carr. Derek Carr has fought through a lot of adversity with the Raiders, who fell short through coach firings, losing receivers. The defense had issues. The team went through a lot, and they still managed to pull 10 wins out of their ass somehow.
Credit to Rick Bisaccia, the interim, for not completely, having his team fall off a cliff. And
they did slide, but they didn't collapse.
It did slide a little bit, but they were able to control it just enough to get to the playoffs.
And that's hats off to Derek Carr, which I'm not sure if they'll bring him back next year, especially because when you bring in a new GM and I assume a new coach, they're going to want their own guy. And you're not sure if I think they're going to have to blow up the entire roster at this point with where they're at. I think Derek Carr is the quarterback you keep, but then again, I just don't know what they're going to want to do with the roster. That's the only reason I say that. But if they don't keep him, a team's going to hop on him immediately. He's a franchise guy. He's a top 10 quarterback, borderline top 10 guy on the back end of the 10. And I think, if anything, I could see the Browns bringing him in as the guy to bring him to a Super Bowl.
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's going to be the guy.
It's not even wrong. If the Browns bring him in this season, telling that roster, they're like 11, 12. No, like 12 plus one team.
Well, anyone besides Baker Mayfield, I think.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say anyone.
A majority. As a Baker Mayfield defender myself.
You're a Baker Mayfield defender?
Yes. As a fan of he gets a lot of stick, but he held back that Cleveland Browns team. But that's a conversation for another time. That's something down the road in the offseason. We can dive deep into that. But Derek Carr, even with all the John Gruden when he got there, with Gruden being unsure if he was going to be the quarterback, and the fact that he's lasted throughout that John Gruden tenure, it's impressive. And I think he's just gotten better. And he's slowly getting to that 2016 MVP form, slowly but surely. He looked really good this year.
There's a lot of teams that would want to have him, and I genuinely believe there's a lot of rosters you plug him in instead of their current quarterback that are like borderline playoff teams that excel to top rosters. I think Broncos make the playoffs if you have Derek Carr there. I think the Browns are a top team if you have him there at the quarterback position. I think the Steelers also become a better roster if you put him instead of Big Ben, which is a lot of guys you could argue over Ben this season. I think he wasn't as bad as people expected, but still, Derek Carr's going to be very sought after quarterback going into the next offseason, especially with how weak of a quarterback class is coming up in the draft.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the hottest commodity.
How about your boy Deshaun, Giants future legend Deshaun Watson?
Well, I feel we'll talk about that after the wild card games. That's a little bit more of an off-season speculation.
Okay.
But now Patriots Bills. Um, while the Patriots offense was not good, it wasn't as terrible as people made it out to be. It was more the fact that the Bills literally put together a perfect game. Every time the Bills touched the football, they scored a touchdown. They had what? 7 drives, 7 touchdowns? No, sorry. There was 9 drives, 9 touchdowns, something like that. No, 7 drives, 7 touchdowns. My apologies. What do you can't do anything about that. No, he's beating every single team in the league with that kind of performance. And the Bills look like the best team in the league that people thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. Then they kind of got off to a shaky start, but I think they're back in sync. Josh Allen had the best cold weather performance like ever. Normally, you get like a couple hundred passing yards and maybe a touchdown or two in the air when the weather is sub-zero. Man was throwing for 5 passing touchdowns at 308 yards like he was playing in Tampa.
Buffalo.
That
I really
team
don't know what
is
to
going to
say.
win the division for the next decade.
Don't count out the Dolphins. You.
You guys going to come in third for like the next until the end of time.
Hey, if we can make a few wild cards in third, all right.
One day.
One day. Yeah, Buffalo were really good. New England played like shit. It was I hate Buffalo, but it was kind of cool to have to see Belichick have some pie on his face. They got walloped.
Bills Mafia, they're such an exciting fan base. You can say whatever you want about them. I think they're one of the most
Losers, yeah.
they're one of the most exciting fan bases. They bring a lot of energy.
Besides Fitzpatrick
And
having
we're
a
talking
shirt
about
off,
this.
everyone else is losers.
Do you think they're one of the most toxic fan bases? Because I had my ranking. I was talking about this. My big five is obviously so Dallas, Philly, New England, Oakland, no, Las Vegas. My apologies. I'm gonna put the
yeah,
Raiders.
you got them riled up. You got them riled up.
I'm gonna put the Raiders in there, and there's a fifth team I was forgetting. The Steelers.
Yes,
those are my big five. The Bills don't make that. The Bills are an exciting group of characters. I don't think they're as toxic.
they're exciting, but also toxic. I think you got number one right. Number one, you had Dallas, right?
I didn't put it was no specific order, but I put Dallas and Philly in 1 and 2.
Okay.
Then New England, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas.
I don't like Vegas. I don't like Raider fans, actually. Come to think of it. I know my dad despises them.
You don't like somebody yelling Raiders in your face at full volume?
Not really, no. I can do without that. Thing is, I didn't grow up with a whole lot of Raider fans, so that's good.
Where'd your dad see all these Raiders fans? They just despises them so deeply. Well, he also grew up in a very Raider dominant era.
What was that? Well, yeah, he grew up when Madden was the coach, and and the
RIP.
All that crap. Yep. RIP. When they won the Super Bowl in the 70s, and when they were always competing with Miami, and
you guys are competitive.
He's not very fond of like people like Al Davis and all that crap.
Is that a big Marcus Allen guy?
I don't think so. I think the only Raider player he tolerated was Tim Brown because he went to Notre Dame. So
football. Eagles, Bucks. Like I said, I think that was one of the things I said. The Eagles are extremely inconsistent. They could have hung with the Bucks if they were playing their best football, but they played their average football and got shellacked. Brady did solid, throwing 2 touchdowns, 271, and Mike Evans was just annihilating the secondary.
They did what they had to do.
It was just business.
They literally played complimentary football. They didn't have to do anything too crazy. I kind of got the score prediction right. I predicted 31-10. It was 31-15. So take that.
What did I say?
Chumps. I think you said like close. I think you said they were going to score like 20 or something.
I think I had like 28-21 or something like that.
Something like that. I was like, Pete, you're giving them a little too much credit. The Eagles.
Sorry, I was 3 points off the Bucks score.
Ah, damn. I nailed it because I'm the best. Who do you think you are? I am.
But I have to say that for that game. But the Niners
Yeah, nothing.
Cowboys, the joy it brings me to see the Cowboys lose, it was phenomenal. I mean, what can I say other than I don't want to hear any of this with the refs are cost and people this.
No.
First off, Dex slid in the middle of the field with like 6 seconds left.
And also,
How you don't drop a sideline pass?
why was that the play call?
And then also Dex handing the ball to his center, knowing that knowing that the referee has to spot the ball.
And like
Leave
I
it
know
to coaching.
he
You had no timeouts and slid in the middle of the field. If you blame it on the refs, I don't want to hear it. You didn't get robbed. You lost.
yeah, and like I know he apologized, but like he did the damage already by calling them out like right after. Like he already did the damage by like shitting on them.
I mean,
Be
how
like,
about we go right off the gate? He threw for let's see. Let's look at his passing stats. We'll see why you guys lost.
didn't they have like 14 penalties or something?
Dak
Like something really
threw
ridiculous.
23 of 43. So he missed 20 passes. He threw for 250, but also one to touchdown, one interception, and they allowed 5 sacks for 40 yards. He had a QBR of 27 and a rating of 69.3. Zeke ran for 12 carries, 31 yards. As a team, they ran 21 carries of 77 yards. Jimmy G did nothing, but San Fran's D really showed up. Debo was an animal.
They should be grateful that they were somewhat in this game.
This comes to another situation. I think this is, I don't know if I said this in person or on this podcast, but Jimmy Garoppolo will not win you games, but will, he might not win you games, but he's often not costing you games. But in this game, he almost cost San Fran. And it's one of the concerns as well. They had to bring Trey Lance. He threw that interception late in the game. I think they coupled 3-and-outs, and you're giving the other team a chance to win. And he's not performing that awfully, but he's not performing that good. And it puts him in that gray area of he's not bad enough to put Trey Lance in right now, like this season, early in the regular season, but he's not good enough to keep him as your solid guy. And it leaves the 49ers in a weird position.
I also don't think Trey Lance is ready yet. So
no, he's not ready. That's most of the reason why he's still going. But he's another guy that will have trade value if next season decide Trey Lance is the guy. There's teams that are going to want to play Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, don't forget, this guy did lead them to a Super Bowl. He was the quarterback for a Super Bowl in a Super Bowl a few years ago.
He got you there, but he also didn't win you the game. He didn't necessarily cost you the game, but he missed a couple big throws. I still vividly remember him missing Debo over the middle for that touchdown.
I think it was Emmanuel Sanders. I think. Like at the end of the game,
it was a deep ball down the middle. Yeah, late in the game.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb was kind of invisible in this game. It was mostly defensive most of the time. It looked like a blowout right off the gate.
Yeah.
Their running game was really fun. They ran 170 yards down the throat, which is usually the Dallas method.
San Fran, that's what they like to do. The whole run. They love that run game.
Right. I gave him the ball 27 times. Debo had 10 carries for 72 yards. He iced the game on that one like end around.
Well, he kind of, but then he didn't short.
Yeah, but still, it was still game almost
ish.
Dallas loses again in the playoffs. They have 3 playoff wins in the last 25 years.
Cool.
People saying that Jerry Jones should sell the franchise. They're just dumb.
He's never going to sell the franchise.
You know how much money this franchise makes?
And like, he'll never do that. And he'll just hand it over to his son.
Also, Mike McCarthy is not a good coach. Ask Aaron Rodgers.
I think you didn't have to say it. I think we already knew it.
I think you fire him going into the next season, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I think you fire him and go after Harbaugh. I think that's your best option. You bring Harbaugh. I think you can win a Super Bowl.
Big brand, big image. That's what
put him in Dallas. If there's the only way he leaves Michigan is if you give him a big check, and Jerry can pay him a big check.
Jerry can pay him a big check. Okay, he's been desperate. You know that for sure.
And it's a good roster. That's what's so sad. They are.
Is it sad though for your perspective?
Oh no! It's so sad from like a football standpoint that you're losing with a roster like this in such a high power offense.
They're still losing with this roster, even with Jason Garrett gone.
It's astonishing. Jason Garrett wasn't. He's like one of those coaches too. Once he's not that great of a play caller, but he wasn't that bad. But same with Mike McCarthy. McCarthy is not a good coach. He's not a game changing guy. And it's amazing. Michael Parsons can develop this defense needs to go stronger. They need better DBs. I watched IU absolutely like shatter Trayvon Diggs' ankles. He's another guy that gets way too much hate. I've said this back in the past 800 times. His man-to-man skills may not be that good, but he's an absolute ball hawk and has like the best on-ball DB skills I've seen in a while. But you can't sit him in man-to-man coverage on a good route runner because he will get exposed.
Who did he get burned in the New England game? Was it like Jacoby Myers or something? Like he got blown off or something?
Might have been
Aguilar?
Not Aguilar. The other
Kendrick Bourne?
Kendrick Bourne, thank you. I think Bourne's the best receiver for New England. I like him a lot.
I think it's Jacoby. I think Jacoby Myers. I think
he's just not a red zone threat.
They have Hunter Henry. They have Jonnu Smith. I don't see him as like a red zone guy.
Bourne's a nice big body receiver that kind of bullies smaller DBs. And I like that a lot.
Aren't you a bully?
Where did that come from? Is that some like undercover anger you had right there?
No, I just wanted to start more conversation. All right.
And where do we leave off? And now Steelers Chiefs. The Chiefs
are good. Who would have thought?
At the beginning, it looked like a close game, but Patrick Mahomes just aired him out. They had some defensive. I don't even know. It's just the Steelers played all right, but the Chiefs are just that much better, putting up. Yeah. That second quarter, they put up 21 points.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Like, didn't like Big Ben had like 40 attempts or something with like 250 passing yards?
He always throws that many times.
Yeah. When in doubt, just let Big Ben throw the ball 50 times. It's
worked out, right?
It's really tough to watch that offense. I think I said last episode. They are not fun to watch. Pittsburgh. They are not fun to watch.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers will be their quarterback next year, so.
Oh yeah.
If the Packers don't win the Super Bowl, he's going to be the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year.
Oh, you want to book it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to throw a post on Instagram?
I'll throw my quote up.
All right. Because it's not my quote. If it was my quote, then it definitely won't happen. But it's your quote. It'll probably happen.
I think the Saints made the playoffs, led by Trevor Siemian.
Hey, but I did say that they were finishing a winning record, so I'll take some pity points for that. Just a little, not a whole lot.
It definitely wasn't led by Trevor Siemian.
It was definitely not led by Trevor Siemian. No, I'll give you that.
I was like, fair. And then what games are we missing here?
Rams, Cardinals.
Well, that was the big one. Kyler Murray looked like he was pissing down his leg the entire game. That defense was in the backfield, in his face from beginning to end. OBJ almost outpassed him. And this is where I'll get to the main. Forget Kyler Murray. Forget the Cardinals. I couldn't care less. Now, my favorite moment is, I'll quote my boy Colin Cowherd. You saw the clip of him. He said PFF ranked their top postseason wide receivers. And it wasn't Debo. It wasn't any of those guys. It wasn't Cooper Kupp. It was Odell Beckham Jr. Huh? Maybe that was right all along. Baker Mayfield was the problem, and Odell seems to be back to his 2015-16 self.
Now we have to pause here.
No.
And we say PFF is good baseline tool, but they're not always 100% on the ball. PFF.
Yeah, so,
I
but
do
this is
think
also
he's
this is a postseason receiver best ranked in the wild card round. It's obviously I should have opened with that, I feel like. But
yes.
still, did he not have arguably the best performance in the postseason?
He had one of the best.
That's what I'm saying. But you can argue him as the best. Well, yeah, if he had one pass for 40 yards, okay. And he also had 4 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. There wasn't that many electric receiver performances. There's still some guy. Debo, you could argue, had a better performance, a couple other guys, but still. Odell high pointed the living hell out of that DB. He's going up and getting the ball on those 4 targets. He's had 4 receptions. When you're getting him the ball, he's one of the best. And even when he's not getting the ball, he's taking attention with other receivers. Having Cooper Kupp draw so much attention from DBs is unreal and opens up so much for the rest of their game. There was a play where I watched somebody breaking it down, where Van Jefferson had that 50-yard reception over the middle, that post route he ran, where the DB should be sitting on Van Jefferson. This is more of a play by Matt Stafford. Odell's running a streak on the other side of the field and looked down Odell the entire time he went to throw it. He instantly snapped on Van Jefferson, was able to drop the ball in the bucket and took the touchdown away. It was basically almost a no-look pass by Stafford, but still in the sense that Odell's taking attention away from DBs and opening up the rest of the field. Or it might have been Cooper Kupp that was running the streak, but still. You have talk to any DB. You could ask Jalen Ramsey on his team. He had Odell as one of his top receivers for the longest time, and he's a very brutally honest guy. Those LSU receivers are ballers. I love
have one of those
Odell
guys.
still now. Always been a great route runner in great hands. And he's going to put the Rams to that top position. I think he's going to bring them over the top next week.
Alrighty.
I say Stafford threw the ball for only 17 times he threw the ball for 202 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that's only because the Cardinals received. He could have easily thrown for 400 yards if he continued throwing the ball. I mean, but they just handed the ball off 38 times instead.
And how many rushing yards?
140.
Okay.
3.7 a carry, which is what? Average.
Average-ish, below average-ish.
But still, that's because they expect them to run the ball. When you know you're up that much, you know they're going to run it. You set on the run, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Sony Michelle ran for 4.5 carry though.
There we go.
Cam Akers 3.2. That play with Budda Baker was devastating though. Seeing him, I wonder. I haven't seen much news about him, but look like there could be nerve damage. He got hit in with the back of the neck, and he went he did that. When I see people stiffen up like that, I just get a lot of PTSD to the way Shazier stiffened up. Seeing a lot of those guys, it just makes me nervous.
Yeah, I think he had a statement on Instagram or Twitter saying he was okay. I think.
And I feel bad for Cam Akers because he kind of did a celebration on top of him while he was laying on the ground, but he didn't know he was hurt, obviously, at the time. Yeah. And you can see the guy feel bad. He's not trying to paralyze anybody. He didn't mean to hurt him and then do a celebration on top of his body.
Yeah. So this is from Mark Dalton, Arizona Cardinals SVP/media relations. Tuesday update on Budda Baker. Budda stayed overnight at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in LA for continued evaluation, imaging, and testing. He was cleared by the physicians there, released this morning, is on the way back to Arizona.
That's good news. That's what I like to hear. It's just the shots to the Knicks. You never know. You never want to play around with stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying.
What's your breakdown though? What's next for the Cardinals? Because without DeAndre Hopkins, after he stopped playing, they barely could win games. They were abysmal from the end of the season into the playoffs. And I think you've been very vocal about this. Cliff Kingsbury is a fraud.
Yeah. Yeah. Not very craziest fan of Cliff.
That's
I
probably
was
one
like,
of Evan's best takes of all time.
yeah. I have a few good ones off my sleeve. They played so great, and then they just magically just didn't. I guess it's because of D Hop getting injured, but you know, everyone thought this team was going to be so good. I thought this team was going to be good because it felt like now the
But
offense was clicking, but the defense was slowly coming
it's
around
the
too.
same thing
Because
as
now,
last season. Their record in the first 10 games from those past 2 seasons, like damn near undefeated. Then after those 10 games, they're like horrendous.
yeah, um, just yeah. Luckily, Cliff Kingsbury has a freak talent like Kyler Murray. Because sure as hell he can't build a O line to save him. Like, and that's also part on Kyler just having that
He
instinct
didn't
of
have
just
any. He also
running.
had, yeah, he had no comp. Well, actually, he wasn't running enough. If you ask me, he had like one rush through like 3/4 of
There
the
was a
game.
lot. I feel like there was a lot of just drop back passes for Kyler, and I think I said this. I said all the time. Just you got this guy. Utilize him properly with some more with RPOs and play actions and designed runs and use his legs and not just him dropping him out of the pocket and then not even a second later, pressure's already in his face and he's scrambling sideways and he's throwing meatballs or throwing out of bounds. And obviously he threw that awful pick six. So
And it was so funny because that was when Dwayne Johnson was with Eli and Peyton talking about like, put your head down, put in good work. And they threw the pick, and Dwayne was like,
that was a good work. I want that in the XFL.
love Dwayne Johnson.
Good guy.
I just want to talk about the next week games. So I'm honestly over last week.